IVM.
कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen yaar, don't be so conservative. Alrighty. Time for some cock and bull, recording early-ish in the morning, probably 4:30 India time. Okay, I'm lying, it's much later than that. But it's Diwali season has actually started technically today. The actual 4-5 day burst of Diwali, the various festivals in Diwali, the festival in the festival. But the question that I'm getting from everyone here, at least on Insta and other forms of communication which I'm left with, is how do we celebrate Diwali? Because they've said no crackers, which I'm all for, green crackers, which no one understands, silent crackers, which really is a paradox in terms, and above all, even no festive gatherings, socialization, tash parties, cards, those mithai, food. At least in my day, it was a full-on drinking session as well. So all that's sort of been cancelled. Here's my small... I don't know if this is advice. This is what I think we should do. This whole year, each festival has been treated in the same way. So just carry on. Get a blanket, get a pillow, go to sleep. Sleep through the festival. We'll wake you up when it's over. Because right now, there's nothing we can do. Alright, just sleep it through. 2021 Diwali will be back with a bang. I dare say, no pun intended.
Are you looking for India's most awesome cricket podcast? Are you now tired of listening to the same old guys drone on about cricket everywhere? Edges and Sledges is a weekly cricket podcast hosted by three fans of the game, Varun, DJ, and myself, Ashwin. It was established in early 2018, has over 60 episodes now, and is of course now proud to be on the IVM Podcast Network. Each week, we get together from three different time zones, the USA, the UK, and Singapore, and we talk about things from the world of cricket, with a focus on Indian cricket. We often interview special guests from all around the world, including former cricketers and cricket media personalities. So check out Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast, now on the IVM network.
It's cock and bull with my huge team of, well, just two people. That's partly because I'm busy working on some project and leaving them in the lurch. So we can't embarrass guests by calling them and then, not turning up. Okay, so let's meet Amit, who's looking quite fine. And I think I've upset him offline. And we've got young Silvery, who's still wearing a red ribbon on his hand after, I don't know, how long has it been since Rakhi? Isn't that it?
This is that. No, this is for puja. This is that.
This is a normal red.
I don't know what you call it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, let's not waste time with those little details. Religion is not allowed on this show, as per law. What is allowed are all the wonderful things that happened this week, starting with Donald Trump's acceptance of Joe Biden. Very happy to welcome. He opened the door.
Reality.
Yeah. He left the White House open. It's like, please guys, anyone can come in. And so, Amit, what do you say? I mean, everybody's calling it infantile and all that, but wasn't it sort of expected?
It was expected. He laid this out. This is not an unexpected plan that he was going to be badly behaved about this whole thing. He had set this up for months, right? Voter fraud.
So he got a hint that he's not going to pull this off, or very unlikely to. So he started with the positive message for himself that it's actually all rubbish.
He laid the groundwork, right?
Yeah.
He laid the groundwork. And now the thing that's really more surprising, to be honest with you, is not that he is a donkey and a jack.
But it's the fact
that, the rest of them are not telling him that he is a donkey.
But can I tell you what I'm disappointed in? I'm disappointed in India, especially Bihar. Why didn't Tejasvi Yadav and all do the same thing? The moment they lost such a close election, they should have just gone on with voter fraud. If it works there, it works here. We've been copying America for the last 50 years. I'm all for it. I think this should go across the world to all leaders. You never lose. It's a draw. All you have to do is say fraud. And by the way, no one's explaining how it's a fraud. No one's really, the technicality of actually counting votes, or irregular votes, or throwing votes out. Nothing.
Yeah.
Hasn't many of the state courts, haven't they thrown the litigation out already?
Yeah. They threw just the allegations out. They wouldn't even investigate. They were like, dude, it's not widespread voter fraud, so we're not going to investigate.
They wouldn't accept the case, saying that only a 3-year-old would come out here with this stupidity.
Some of it was just dumb too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would not. The lawyer for Donald Trump would not be willing to say that there were Republicans inside the Philadelphia counting center. So he would use words like, "There are non-zero observers from our campaign." He won't say how many there are. He'll say he can't lie in court, right? Because I mean, like they're very.
Yeah.
What does non-zero mean? This guy is too much now.
It's ridiculous. What kind of?
No, we need a Google, Trump Google, which is separate from language Google. So what is non-zero? This is no commitment to number, is it?
Exactly. It's a ridiculous.
I like
it's a
it. I want to
ridiculous
borrow
formulation.
This. In many ways, he's a great guy also because he's teaching a new subculture. I want this in my speech pattern, non-zero. Yeah. Non-committal conversation is, imagine in love, romance, in business, this is beautiful. You always stay protected.
Non-zero, yeah. It's a non-zero commitment to anything, right?
Yes. Also, across states, in different states, they were fighting for different things. Like, in some states, they were saying stop the vote. In some states, they were saying they count the vote.
Yeah.
And it was like completely opposite. So that doesn't make any sense.
And also,
it's obvious what they were doing.
You never investigate the states where you win. Is it not? I mean, surely you should investigate all the states then. No, it can't be just these 5.
No, because for him, the argument is that basically the election is being stolen from me by big cities like Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia. These large cities are stealing the election. Atlanta.
With the help of the left media for some reason.
Well, no, because cities are democratic, right? I mean, like, generally, cities are heavily democratic. Most people in cities cities have bigger minority populations who have very minimal patience with Donald Trump. Though that was a surprise over here that he's got the biggest vote share of non-whites
70
since...
Yeah.
I think it was the biggest vote share since...
Kennedy?
On the Republican side, no, I think it was, ever. Right? Since
on the Republican side ever and Kennedy in general. I mean, the last 50 years, something like that.
No, I doubt that he has a bigger vote
but
share
listen,
than Barack
bro,
Obama did.
This is a bullshit statistic for me. This is the India-China statistic. Because your population is so populous, you just have the biggest everything. We have the most number of vegetarians in the world. Well, there's no great achievement. There's like 600 million people who are vegetarian. I mean, similarly, American population has grown to about 340 million.
No, percentage. I'm saying percentage, not number of votes, right?
Yeah.
Number of votes, he has got the second most ever.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has the most ever. He has the second
percentage
most
is fair enough, but number of votes I'm saying is slightly over-glorified situation.
No, but number of votes is ridiculous. That doesn't. Well, actually, it does matter because highest turnout in longest time as well, right?
Also, what it does tell you is there are 72 million people or families or whatever who are pro him. I'm thinking maybe 10-20% didn't think it through. Sometimes there are people like that. I've done it in my first election also because me and my friend Vikram Tharani, we went to Grand Center, and Golden Crown, which doesn't exist, was where we had to actually vote just outside Golden Crown bar and restaurant. So we gave it to a guy who gave the address as a bar and restaurant. Was some independent candidate. So that we just wasted our vote that time. We just thought it was funny. So I'm saying that there are jokers who do things like that last minute.
There are, but see, and I think the other thing is that there is a tremendous amount of annoyance just generally with certain aspects of the left-wing culture. Right? I mean, this is stuff that annoys us, right? The overly wokeness stuff and stuff like that, right? We get irritated by this, right? And this is stuff which really, really kind of bothers people, right? I mean, and so, the thinking is we can't vote for them.
There's also a xenophobic feeling in many cultures, which is not really racism in your own mind. It's more like, look, I love everybody, but I want to keep my people safe. You know what I'm saying? In that sort of area, he seems to touch base with a lot of people in America. That he'll be better for homeland security, he'll be better for security in general. His slightly racist overtones, if I may say that slightly, help us have a safer sort of environment. And on that alone,
he tells it like it is. He's not trying to polish a message for us. That's his non-political
speak has been a strong point. I agree with you.
Exactly. But I mean, it's also, in many ways, this is the biggest weakness as well, right? Because he said, which is,
it goes back, I dare say, to Balasaheb Thackeray, who was like a breath of fresh air for a lot of people here back in the 60s because he spoke his mind and, with certain irony and all, which other politicians didn't do. Right. And it comes to Arnab. Now who does a similar thing where he just spoke his mind, emotive content, didn't follow any patterns, protocol, procedure, which people were impressed with because now the formality is gone.
I don't know if I would believe I would agree with that with Arnab because I think Arnab talks in bad faith all the time.
That's later on. I'm saying initially how he got into people's consciousness was the fact that he was doing this slightly informal, I'm the guy batting for you, batting for your people, that kind of thing. I'm not one of those journalists who says everything in a very clinical sort of way. He is emotive and straightforward, and this is me. What you see is what you get attitude.
But I think the comparison between Donald Trump and Balasaheb Thackeray is actually a really interesting one, right?
Be careful.
No, I'm making it. I'm making a point.
You're talking about the color orange, basically.
Not bad.
No, that's a good. That's a good joke. But no, I'm not talking about the color. I'm talking about
it's a fresh perspective.
The perspective, exactly.
Amongst the others, you stand out.
Yeah, you become the non-politician in that sense, right? right? You become the person who's telling truth to power in some cases,
and
right?
using harder language sometimes to make your point, which people say, wow, finally someone's calling a spade a spade. Otherwise, it's not a good thing to fight with X person and all. You know, these guys are exploiting us. Let's do them. You know,
Right.
that emotive content, it's scary.
It is, but I mean, like, I think it's interesting this, right? I mean, like, there is man, I mean, like, listen, at the end of it, he's going away and we should just be happy with that, right? I mean, like, that's,
They're also saying that
he'll
what if
stand
this
in
is
4 years.
They're also
Sorry.
saying that this might become a political coup from the Trump campaign, from the outside.
No.
How, brother?
That's too much, what?
The chances of that. See, if the only way that Donald Trump continues to stay president, if there is extraordinary proof of large-scale voting fraud,
And in
That's the only
minimum
way.
4 states, which is, the chances are never in the history of the world has this kind of overturn,
Right.
unless you're talking about Banana Republic. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I don't.
Yeah, no, so and you guys know what I think about conspiracies generally, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
like, there are too many people who are involved in elections for there to be a widespread conspiracy. If there is something found, I will believe that there is something found as well, right? If they find that there are hundreds of thousands of fake ballots in Pennsylvania, and if the electors of Pennsylvania say that that's the case, I will believe that. But I know that that's not the case because we've not seen that.
As a neutral party, watching Pennsylvania unfold, they, or if you remember Ohio, where initially they counted the votes from the outsiders, the ones people like you have sent them in, and so Democrats went through the roof with that little
Right.
amount, and then went all the way down when the actual standing vote was counted.
Right.
That was the opposite in Pennsylvania and the other big states,
Yeah.
where basically it went the other way, where he was leading and leading and leading, and then less leading and less leading, and finally lost in a canter towards the end because these these votes from outside came tumbling in.
No,
So if you look at that
that
as a procedural thing, and then the maths is pretty even everywhere. If you look at it as a formula,
Yeah.
that X will vote for you and Y won't vote for you. So
No,
from that
and
point of view,
that-
I don't see any chance of any.
I don't see any turn. I don't see any. There's too much this, right? So even Karl Rove, right? I mean, like George W. Bush's ex
Yeah.
chief of staff,
Yeah.
the person we all thought was the original Prince of Darkness before we really
Yeah.
understood what darkness was. That guy, he had a editorial in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and he was saying that, listen, Donald Trump has the right to contest the election if he believes that there is fraud there. But having said that, the numbers are so large that there is going to be a change in government over here. And we got to be prepared.
And also the waste of money if it proves to be a waste of time. They look at
But
millions and
you-
millions of dollars. Who's paying for that? Republican Party will pay for that? Then who's paying for that?
Donald Trump is raising funds from
Personal.
raising money by
Personal donors.
appealing to donors.
Yeah.
Right? And a part of it's amazing, right? The way that he is doing this, he is raising money by sending emails to donors, and some of them are like threatening. This is your
Yeah.
last chance to protect
Yeah.
democracy.
Yeah, you have not helped out all this time.
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that.
Hey,
So-
has he heard of the Prime Minister's Relief Fund? That's very interesting.
No, but you know what, the best thing about this donations that he is soliciting right now is
Yeah.
it's mentioned inside the terms over there, because you have to do this, is that part of this donation will be devoted towards retiring the debt that the Donald Trump for President campaign has gotten
Wow.
over previously. So he's basically raising
It's a
money
social
right now
movement. It's a social movement.
from
It's very
his
clear.
basically supporters to pay off debt that they incurred running for president, and also to pay legal fees.
Hey, as gangsters go, isn't the philosophy very simple? Your people make money, you extort money from the other people. Now, when you start extorting from your people, you reverse Robin Hood completely, right? Oh God!
but
So
he's
basically, the only ones who will donate are Democrat supporters, I think, to make sure that he's never heard of again. Get this over with. Yeah.
That's what they're saying again, no, that he might run in 2024.
Well, he said that.
Yeah, he
He
said
said
that.
if this doesn't go his way, he's going to run in 2024 anyway.
But he
That'll be-
probably
oh,
will, no? I mean, like,
Because they don't have a face bigger than him yet.
Yeah, but his base will still be there, no? So it's possible that he gets a lot of momentum
Oh, he'll
in
go straight
2024
back
as
to
well.
television. He's also
it's also possible that his base evaporates, right? I mean, like, completely evaporates. There was a presidential candidate in the mid-60s named Barry Goldwater, Republican candidate.
the one who wrote the Archie Andrews comics, the Goldwater brothers.
Not that Goldwater.
Damn
This
you.
was
I'm a big
senator from, I think he was senator from Arizona. And this was around the time of, I think he was against Nixon and Reagan, and he was this. He was the extreme right-wing kind of guy, right? He is the kind of, the linchpin of the Tea Party movement that happened 5 years ago.
Right.
Like, he was the kind of like shining light towards, the guiding light towards that.
He
right?
was the president to the.
But his campaign had a tremendous amount of momentum, right? When he was running against, I think it was Nixon. And once he lost, it just evaporated, right? And then it took 40 years for it to come back.
Yeah, you're right. Because this 2020 has taught us anything. Everything is about today only. Even this coronavirus, I'm just saying 3 days once the vaccine is on, or people are back in the saddle sort of thing, we'll just sort of forget about it. It's just gone. It's the way we are. No one's going to cling. What do you think?
True. I agree.
So, but if I can ask, what happens if there is large-scale voter fraud? Do they do the election again, or does the previous government stay?
No, they try and clean up the voter fraud. They find that they basically trace what votes are valid and what votes are not valid,
and recount
then
basically.
And they count.
It's a recount. They can't do the whole
Yeah,
election.
so basically, if they see, this is not going to happen, right? But let's say they say that in Philadelphia this procedure was being undertaken, which invalidated certain votes, right? Like so, for example, in Florida in 2000, right? Why was there a recount? The term was hanging Chad, right?
Yeah.
Because what they had is they had a punch ballot. And when you had a punch ballot, when it did not go all the way through, and the
It's half
little paper was
half
hanging
penetration,
on
to
it.
use a phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. So should you count that vote or not? Most of the people inside Florida chose not to count that vote. Al Gore wanted them to pull the Chad off and count the vote because
So
he
it's
says
like-
intent has been applied.
Vote coitus interruptus,
Yeah.
where you have to pull out at the right time, having made your mark. Difficult to explain, but I could explain it in terms of my school elections, Silvery, since you're asking wide-eyed, such beautiful questions. Young generation of today want to know more about the political process across the world, leading country USA. So back in school in the 6th standard, Arvind Khurana was standing for monitor, and against him was Riaz Kopti. And Riaz got about 26 votes, and Arvind got about 27 votes, and we were only 40 in the class. Then we figured that Arvind wrote about 12 votes himself. So I'm just saying, there are many ways. There are many combinations and permutations out there. Donald Trump is a smart man. What I really like about him, I'm sure you all relate to that. We've all had guys in our lives who are really spoiled, Indian males at their very best. You know, the rich kid who owns everything or whatever. So he's that kid who basically, if things don't go his way, he stops the party, he stops the match, he stops the fun. You know, he just walks out. He's that guy. And what's beautiful about him is that when he was 9-year-old Raju in your life was one thing, but this is a 74-year-old man who's exactly the same. Which I think there's something in that he's been consistent from the age of 1 till the age of whatever. It's been the same. This guy's just been a bully from start to finish.
Man,
I appreciate that.
I read a tweet yesterday. Eric Trump on 10th November, that is 3 days after the election already happened
Done.
and all the voting was done. He tweets, Minnesota, go out and vote.
What?
This is actually true, man. Then I think Twitter had to delete it because it goes against their current.
No, was that a
fake
tongue-in-cheek
news
thing
policy.
or was that like just stupid?
No, I think they're trying to delegitimize the process, right? So he's just like, go out to vote, and then the protest will happen, like, let us
and
vote.
the amazing
and all that.
thing, Silvery, is all. And I watched Fox News as well, which was very pro Trump for most of it. Everywhere they've admitted that there's been Democrats and Republican, what do you call them, referees sitting there.
Yeah.
Like match referees from both parties, and a number of them, not just one, in every counting center across the country. They didn't get that wrong. So are you saying you don't trust your own Republicans?
Correct.
No, it's just it's muddying the waters. I mean, there's no good faith argument to be made over here, to be honest with you. It's just that how can I lose? I am the only person who can win. Nobody can win but me. That's exactly what's going on here. It's an
So he
exercise
sort of
in ego.
fixes the game, or he's trying to fix the game and then blame it on the others. Who do you think, which party would take him in India? Which party would he belong to? Who has the guts to answer
He
this?
has to be his own party. There's no question about it. right?
We aren't good enough. We don't have a party good enough for him.
No. Dude, I mean, like, listen, every party,
that's
every
true.
iconoclast of Donald Trump's nature in India has their own party.
And he's
How many
twisted-
belong to other parties?
He's twisted the Republican Party to suit his frame. Yeah. And, poor Republican
think the
Party will
GOP
need a
goes
little bit of
back?
the party will need an enema after they're done with him. A full cleanup.
Who knows, man? I mean, like, it's the thing with these parties, are right. I mean, like in America, particularly, it's a little since it's a two-party system. These are big tent parties, right? So now a lot of the people who were like, the financial conservatives and stuff like that, they've moved out of the GOP completely. There's this thing called the Lincoln Project, which was created by a bunch of ex-Republican operatives, political operators, people who would fight elections, and these were like nasty Republican operators, right? They were the people who Democrats hated, but they hated Trump so much that they fought against him, and they created some of the most appealing ads, anti-Trump ads. Right, they spend millions of dollars on YouTube campaigns and stuff like that. Each of the videos have got millions and millions of views, and the whole thing is just like Donald Trump's not a conservative. Donald Trump's not he's not a good person. How can we vote for this guy as president? It's interesting, right? So now these people have come out of these people are out of the Republican Party, more or less, right? So what's left? You're left with the nativist kind of this.
Yeah, but now you're missing another subplot here. What's going to happen to comedians? For about 80% of your fodder has come from one man for 4 years. Completely. I mean, they're going to go through a sort of, cold turkey syndrome. It'll be like, I don't want to do a joke. I can't, what do I do? The whole, it's going to be hazy for a bit. The brain fog's going to happen. Silvery, think about it. Think of your cousins in America. They've been living off this guy, and then because of him, spinning off from him, Putin, this, that, and the other, it all comes from there, North Korea.
I'm thankful that all late night talks will have to finally start moving away from Trump, because that's all they talk
gags.
about. Exactly.
Gags and if my memory serves me right, they almost always open with Donald Trump. For
always.
4 years. The opening gags for sure.
It's amazing. Even the Tonight Show has gotten so much more political. It never used to be political, right?
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live is a very political show.
Yeah,
but like Jimmy Fallon
they've lived off him. He's been the biggest draw now for the last couple of seasons.
But you're right. Jimmy Fallon did try for the longest time not to make it too political, but then it still ended up going full Trump.
Even he's become political, right? Completely.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Colbert is so like overtly political, right? I mean, like he's
Colbert and him were locking horns. Okay, they were proper. But I'm just saying that it spins off from Trump into Trumpish culture. Everything, it goes from there. So his shadow is above the comedic galaxy, and I think that's going to be a bit of a bummer. They had that problem with George W. Bush, who was, good fodder for comedy and all that, but this is taken it to another level. I think the Democratic president coming in up the comedians. Democrats have never given you a funny guy. Even Biden, okay, he's old, coma, this, that.
You have old, coma, misspeaks a lot. You have that going for him. But Bill Clinton, but
you don't want to attack him all the time, Amit. The passion, the Josh Junoon, what we say in Hindi, is not there to go after the... What do you say, Silvery? A lot of that is also that satire, biting satire, comes from a certain angst like Kunal Kamra, who we should now segue into, having spent 22 minutes over Donald.
Yes.
Yeah. But before that, let's go into a break.
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे पॉडकास्ट लगते हैं. नाम है फुटबॉल शुटबॉल.
Presenting Football Shortball, a show about three friends discussing our favorite game over a beer. Sometimes 3, maybe even 5. Hi, I'm Shiva, and with me are my two sidekicks, Gaurav Sapre and Karthik Iyer.
Sidekick? You mean like Batman's Robin or Van Persie Robin?
No, I mean like Alexis Sanchez, but with a little more skill than just playing the piano.
Just shows how the best players at Arsenal are mere bench warmers at United.
Oh, thank you, Iyer. But you're a Fulham supporter, so whenever you say anything to support me, I question my beliefs.
Just like how Griezmann would say, एक बार मैंने जो decision ले लिया, तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता.
Banter aside, we will talk match reports, transfer rumors, top controversies, fantasy football picks, and so much more. So grab a beer and tune in to Football Shootball every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, welcome back. We've got the same panelists, unfortunately, but lots more to talk about.
And just, weird times for Kunal Kamra. I feel bad for him, kind of.
If you look at it this way, he's speaking his mind. And like I was telling you offline, the Supreme Court is sacred. You're not supposed to, even in the Constitution, it says that you're not supposed to make fun of the office of the Supreme Court, the President, and the Constitution itself, the national anthem. Okay, these things are supposed to be above every Caesar's wife. We can't go there at all, untouchable. However, having said that, in all democracies who also carry similar things, they sort of allow you, to lampoon up to an extent. And all I think he did is he colored the Supreme Court in his thing with a BJP orange thing and a BJP flag in the background and stuff. I think that was the really
was that
the one
the
that
thing?
pissed.
I thought it was when he said something about
Justice
serving champagne.
Yeah, so there's 3-4 things there that they've objected to, 4 tweets actually in entirety. But I thought this one was the most dangerous one because it has a visual. Attached to the institution, which is now visual.
Do you guys think Kunal Kamra has aspirations to get into politics?
So what if he does? I don't think, honestly, Sylvie, let's talk about freedom of speech and not ulterior motives and all, because who knows and who cares after a point. The thing is that if you're going to have freedom of speech, you let Arnab off saying that freedom of speech, he can do what he wants. Okay, leave the abetment of suicide case. I'm talking about the other case, the TRPs, this, that, and the other. They're going after him in a sense and try to silence him. And then on the other side, you want to silence Kunal Kamra, who's taking on the government. So for me, a little all over the place.
But there's such a judgment to be be laid for Kunal, right? I mean, like they.
Yeah.
So far, it's just an FIR and court
Just
notice.
Investigation has been started.
Correct.
By the
but
Attorney General?
the Supreme Court judgment will come
By the
later.
attorney, was it by the Attorney General?
Attorney
Yes.
General.
Yes.
No, but
When the Attorney
thing is-
General turns his eye on you, that means it's like the school monitor.
Well, he is, but now the hope is that they listen to the Supreme Court and who said that, protect personal liberty.
Yep, correct.
So-
But now, that's what I'm trying to say. So I don't know. I think before you become a comedian or a satirist or political commentator, which now, let's say Kunal Kamra is just a pure political commentator who tries to spin it in a funny way. I mean, you've got to go through some sort of examination, and because maybe we're learning on the job. We have been learning on the job for the last 5 years, because what the government says or whoever's in power says one day changes to the next, and depends. It's a theory of relativity. It depends on who the person is. How I mean, there's no clear black and white sort of list of do's and don'ts, frankly, or unless you want to just say leave the government alone and all the institutions that fall under its purview. That's the only do or don't for safety. In which case, you then have to land up doing one of those shows where you just make fun of your family members, or your culture, or your community, or your hair loss, or your failing organs, which after some time is boring because there's so much out there that you want to bring down. So all those in favor of Kunal Kamra, raise your hands, please.
I think everybody would be in. I mean, like in favor of Kunal Kamra in the sense that I think everybody would say that he should be able to say what he's saying, right? I don't think that there is a. I think to say that he cannot have an opinion on a Supreme Court judgment of this magnitude.
On the Supreme Court. Please understand, the tweet is on the Supreme Court, not just the judgment. On just the judgment, he would probably be able to get away. Me as a two-bit lawyer, I would tell you that it's just the judgment you're questioning. You can question the judgment, but not the integrity of the court and the institution. So when you put a picture up of the Supreme Court, I'm telling you this because when we do our show, we've got a few warnings in the early days after 2014. One thing they went after us was, do not do anything on the Supreme Court, whatever happens. Because if they're touchy, see, you don't come in the purview, you're not popular enough, you may get away, that's all fine.
Right.
But if you do, and in the internet world, anybody can just send it just out of mischief, then these guys just want to take some action for whatever reason. So I'm still saying that showing that picture at the back is what really got their goat more than anything else, and using the names of Justice Chandrachud and whoever else, Banerjee, I think, also.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a tough one for us too.
Neither do I. I mean, like, I feel like he should have the right to express his opinion.
Yeah,
100%.
if he thinks something is wrong, he should be able to talk about that.
Everyone should. It's a democracy.
Exactly, that's what.
You can critique, you can lampoon. Why is everything offensive? If everything's offensive, then you start feeling fear. You edit in your mind and you have no personality left. It's like being married. You don't want to be married. Once you're married, you're dead.
Exactly. The Supreme Court also should have more dignity than just this
you
one
be careful.
person has.
Leave my podcast
Okay,
alone.
but what
We're just looking at a brighter future.
No, but again, it's
What
not
the
the
hell?
Supreme Court which has taken action here, right? So I mean,
Correct,
like,
the Attorney General, yeah. But also it was just two lawyers in Pune who filed this FIR, and they got to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General was like, okay, fine, we'll conduct this investigation because...
But it's amazing how those lawyers' FIR comes right on top when there were millions of those involving arson, loot, rape, caste, communal politics. That's all been pushed aside for this.
Listen, the scheduling of the Indian judicial system is something which I guess is best never really considered or thought of, because it's a dark hole that, I mean, like, if you try and really try and make sense of, you'll never make any logic out of it, right? Why are cases heard in the order they're heard, when they're heard? It makes no sense.
Here's the point. His whole argument and contention is that the BJP, the ruling government, is controlling the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court doesn't have any thing of its own.
Right.
Now, having said that, if it's a democracy, why can't you question this and say, this is what I think? The fact that you can't do it actually ends the whole idea of democratic thought.
It does.
Because that means,
it's a terrible situation.
And the irony again here is that the right to redress is with the Supreme Court. You know, to go and have these things opened up and freed. And hence a guy like Arnab gets relief in the Supreme Court because of the right to, look at people's rights and say, you can't just stamp on them because you are angry with the guy or for whatever reason. He's got to follow the letter of the law. So literally here, I don't know, it's a bit tough because I have said that in the Constitution it's very clear that you're not supposed to disrespect. What is disrespect? Or the office of the Supreme Court. What does that actually mean?
What does that mean? Yeah, see, that's the problem again, right? Yeah, it's a phrase which is so open to interpretation, right? Do not disrespect the office of the Supreme Court. Does that mean that you're not supposed to disrespect or even
But Amit, what is disrespect? If I was the Supreme Court, I would not feel disrespected if he lampooned. I would laugh and whatever and say, haha, say something back to him.
No, and is disagreement the same as disrespecting? No, it's not, right? But I mean, like, at the same time...
So you can't even use the word dissent because there's nothing between them. There's no link between them direct at the moment. So what it is just a difference of opinion, as you say, and a very strong judgment from the person about the court.
Yeah.
In a role reversal of sorts, which is very interesting. But in a democracy, if you don't like what's happening, why can't you just question it? I mean, let's face it. Do you think he's the only one who thinks that the Supreme Court or the judiciary is slightly controlled by various state governments in states or the central government in the Delhi?
Not all, exactly.
So then why can't he not speak something that we all would say, but just probably not in public?
Well, I think that's it, right? He said it in public, and none of us would say this in public.
Yeah, but then there's something wrong with us then. No?
There is
the whole idea
wrong.
of freedom of speech is a waste of my time.
Listen, our idea of freedom of speech is we don't have freedom of speech, no? So why should we even pretend to it?
But if again, the irony, I hate to use the word, is that it starts with with the most august apex court. Because from there you get the freedom to express yourself. Without that looking after you, there's nothing.
Well, and they said we preserve human liberty. Liberty does not just mean whether you go to jail or not. Liberty means basically
right to
freedom.
expression. Number one in the Constitution. Freedom of speech and expression.
So, let's hope that people listen to the Supreme Court when it comes to people talking about the Supreme Court and allow people to have liberty, human liberty.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. We want inception.
This is why I say you can't stop right when you speak either. People should be allowed to say what they want, and we just have to hope to God that people make the right decisions in terms of who influences them. But either you have free speech or you don't. Where do you keep drawing lines? It makes no sense because then it's like cheating.
It is. It 100% is, right? Because, I mean, like, when you start making these distinctions they're not even distinct. See, the thing is, there's no clarity for what the distinction is. Say you can say this and you cannot say this. Say that, right? But that's not what's said. Do not disrespect the office of the Supreme Court. That's a vague statement, right?
Also, how can a small-time comedian really bring down such a huge body with a line like Supreme Court is a supreme joke or whatever, just a turn-off phrase? You know, it's like how people get upset that you insulted my religion. A religion which has been around for 10,000 years can't be destroyed by one guy saying, hey, you guys are stupid. You know, this fragility of thought also at some point, you know, I mean, you're a huge institution and somebody is just...
I think that's just it, right? Many times the guardians of these institutions are insecure about how resolute and steadfast these institutions are.
So that means there's no democratic thought coming from the guardians of the institutions themselves, because deep down there's such fragility and worry that they're not allowing freedom of expression to express itself.
Yeah.
Because you want to control it, hence there isn't any. Okay, we've proven our theory and we have to leave the country.
What they're saying though is that because they gave Arnab bail and they said that Supreme Court will be involved whenever personal liberties are questioned.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Amit mentioned. Exactly that.
Correct. But then they're saying that because of that, this will help Kunal Kamra and anyone else.
Who's saying?
Because now this is the president.
It's one law for one person and it's one law for another person.
And it's not the first time this has been said. I was being a little sarcastic about this whole thing.
Yeah, you're being sarcastic completely.
But I was thinking that this is now the precedent, and that's why this will help everyone who's behind.
Silvery, come on, man. Silvery is so clearly politicized this whole country now. If you follow one master and that master takes care of you in one place, for example, he's a persona non grata as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Arnab I'm talking about. It's so obvious. They'll keep on trying to put cases around his neck and they'll keep on freeing him in the center. I mean, this is now another IPL cancelled. Yeah. This is what we're going to watch. This is the tournament.
The idea of bail, not jail, right? Which was, I think, the central idea, the arguments made around Arnab's thing. These arguments have been being made for like years. I mean, like, you know, and these are accepted kind of practices in India. That
words like malicious, malafide, or these kind of words were used by in the judgment against the Maharashtra government and the Maharashtra machinery. I can't remember the exact term used. Okay, like it's clearly a term of malice, a malicious intent. You're unnecessarily going after him.
So I listen. I don't disagree with that either, right? I think the Maharashtra government was ridiculous.
Of course, it's ridiculous
that they went after him for an abetment of suicide case, which
they dug up after 2 years.
And abetment of suicide, we all know, is nonsense anyway, right?
Yeah. And for not paying an amount of thing where nobody has ever got prosecuted for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if you kill yourself because I didn't pay your money on time, that's your thing. It's exactly. You go to the courts and you put me in jail or you get me fined or whatever. You know, you can't put that like you said.
So, you know,
abetment only works. Sorry, in dowry death. If you look at the figures, dowry deaths and those kind of cases where the girl has suffered a lot for many years, very rarely in hostile situations where ragging and all led to many months of teasing, etc. like that. Otherwise, it basically doesn't happen. It can't happen in these cases.
Yeah, I was very annoyed with, like, our liberal Twitterati intelligentsia, if you will, right? About their whole, he is not being put in jail for freedom of expression reasons. He's being put in jail for abetment of suicide. I'm like, if you guys don't see this as a transparent use of the law to prevent that, then you guys are
ridiculous to dig that out. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
One fascist movement doesn't help another fascist movement.
Yeah, no, it's
a
ridiculous.
waste of time.
It's such a bogus argument on the face of it when they're saying, no, he is. Then they're saying he's not a journalist, and I'm like, yeah, but the right is not freedom of journalism; it's freedom of expression. Right? He is expressing himself, which is what he's getting. I just
the only thing they can go after him is defamation. All right.
Yeah.
On defamation grounds, they can go after him, which is a long case to prove. Everything else is just bull. You just made this up. And what about the other two guys, innocent guys who were dragged into the case? Innocent in the sense, we don't know what happened with that guy. But I don't want to take the side of these three gentlemen. But I'm just thinking, as a person who's done a house up, built a house somewhere, the things get inflated, things don't come on time, you fight over the figures, you argue about these kind of things. This is just general business practices. It's not very clear who's right or wrong. So he can say he had 6 crores owed to him, and if they, when they're given their turn in court, will prove that they didn't have 6 crores owed to them. So where's the question of abetment to suicide? It's a business transaction which has not gone in the right direction.
Correct.
No, but honestly, the merits of the case are irrelevant, right? Because the case is not it's not because
it's a financial
of this
case. This is what Hari Salve said. It's a case of financial impropriety, if anything, which has to be proven in court.
And it's irrelevant because honestly, anybody with any reading of the situation will see that this has nothing to do with why he was arrested. He was arrested because he pissed off the Maharashtra government.
Yeah, because he kept saying, come and arrest me. Uddhav, G, in the sarcastic way. And he kept using the word tum for Parambir. So he's really been cheeky and a naughty boy. And so that's why they wanted to put him in, take him to Taloja, wake him up at 5 in the morning, all this, walk out without your shoes, etc. So,
although that video that came out of him in the police van, and the guys holding the mic up to his mouth, and then the bus just speeds off while he's in mid speech was so funny. I don't know.
And then they loop it for 50
they
times.
loop it exactly.
But Silvery, did you see his exit, the king, when he comes out?
I want to know who were those people outside. Like seriously, who has that degree of fandom for a freaking journalist?
Yeah. If we shoot on the road with unknown actors or people who nobody knows at all, I'll get you 100 people in 5 minutes. Don't worry about it. Cameras have come. There's some tamasha. Indians love that. I mean, if we have a fight with a watchman down here, 40 people gather in 2 seconds. What are you talking about?
No, but I mean, but these people were there outside of jail waiting for him. No, this was not that. It wasn't like, it was a camera shoot or something like that. This was basically him getting out of jail and maybe set up and maybe kind of like, there was a certain amount of staging done or what have you. But I mean, like, who are these people?
What you're missing the point is his performance. He came out like Elvis. He was like Che Guevara or like Evita herself. He put both hands up. Then he went into all Jai Mata Di and Vande Mataram and I'm the only nationalist in India. The poor Maharashtrian policeman standing outside waiting, looking at his bad behavior. He's almost like saying, see, they are not nationalists. I'm the nationalist, all the nationalist slogans. And both hands raised like, like a heavyweight boxing champion.
He's got the Maximus thing going. Now, are you not entertained? He's really got that guy. He's got that vibe going for sure.
He's a mix of a WWE wrestler meets Donald Trump meets an old world, one of those anchors from the old world because he has this sort of old world appearance with his glasses and in the old days at least when he was more neat. But yeah, he's definitely entertainment. We have to accept that. Super entertainment. And I hope he continues to entertain us for many years. But I don't mind megalomania. I think it's not the worst crime now.
But they still have other cases going on as well, Republic with the OTRT and
they'll go to Palghar, they'll go to this, they'll go to that. I suppose the state machinery will say, okay, let's put him in for 2 minutes, and then they go to the Supreme Court, they'll wrap them on the wrist, and so you can see the fight between Shiv Sena and BJP will just be open, and this guy will be the brand ambassador. He's happy, he's enjoying his moment in the sun. Correct. He's not going to keep his shoes on because he expects him to come any moment.
The TRP will literally go higher.
He's a martyr. I mean, he's put himself in the Bhagat Singh Chandrasekhar Azad mold. He's like, if you just look at the speech.
Correct, exactly.
If you watch Republic TV, it's like, Arnab wins, Arnab overcomes disaster, Arnab brings down Maharashtra machinery.
What was the Kamal Hassan movie that got remade as an Anil Kapoor movie where he was
the Chief Minister for a day. Chief Minister for a day.
Nayak.
I seriously, I can see this guy doing politics sometime.
Yeah, I can see this guy doing politics. It looks very clear.
After what we just saw right now, right? I mean, like over the last couple of days, I can see this guy in politics.
And I can tell you, there's only one party he can go to. I won't name.
But that's the party that he would want to go to, right? That's
he's already in the party. He's probably very high-ranking officer of the party right now. Yeah. All right. I think we wasted enough time on the wonderful works, the complete works of Arnab Goswami. Arnab Manoranjan Goswami, by the way. Yeah. Now even the name is somebody said.
Arnab Manoranjan Goswami, whose son's name is Che. Which is just amazing.
Oh wow! His son's name is Che.
The son's name is Che.
So at that point he was going through his leftist
I think so, yes.
ideals of.
He has a Che. So there was a whole thing on Twitter, like pictures of Che. There was a picture of Che in his house, and his son's name is Che. And stuff. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
If it happened to me, my father would have been Gujarati. He looked at me and said, Che. That would have been the reason on birth. Icon. Che.
Guys,
sorry, Silvery. Let's not get personal.
We have to talk about that 2 days after the election results came out of the US elections, Pfizer announced that they have a vaccine now.
And Biden announced it. It was Biden's moment in a sense.
Yeah, but isn't that a little convenient? It seems a little convenient. Well, it seems like they held it till Trump was.
I don't know, but I think
I don't know, but it does seem like that.
I see. I mean, like, so Pfizer's not an American company, right? They're they're German. I think German, but it's a European company.
German American, huh?
Yeah, it's a French or German. I'm not sure which, but it's a European company. So for them, Trump is good. Well, because Trump keeps taxes low compared to what Biden will do.
I think you're missing the point. It's not really about the two presidential nominees. It's more about the fact that Sputnik came out, and whoever comes out with the big one first is obviously going to be, whether humanitarian grounds and free this and all that, be damned. You're just going to jump to the head of the class.
It's going to make money for them like crazy, right? If there's a vaccine available right now...
It will make money, and the word of mouth that they will get, Amit, will be more... the intangibles will be unbelievable. Because you are the people who save the world in a sense. So
Imagine the vaccine is available for $10 a dose, right? Something like that, right? I mean, like that seems to be the pricing that I'm hearing right now, that the sale price will be $10 a dose for this. In the first month to get the vaccine, would you not pay 10,000 rupees, Cyrus? I'm sure you would. I would.
$10 is 700. Yeah, we can pay 10 times the amount. Okay, fair enough.
We pay 10 times the amount, right? I mean, like
that will happen in India.
That's going to happen. It's going to happen all over the world.
But we will also make it because we are the best at copying. If you look at Bollywood, we've copied everything.
We have the
so Viagra. Billions of dollars was buggers spent on Viagra. We came out with it at 1/5 the price, as effective apparently, and that's it.
It's the same thing now. Viagra is generic now, isn't it?
I don't know what happened in the end of the patent, but we make it. And this is a tough one because of the human consciousness involved and all that, humane consciousness involved. What do you do? Who's going to say do not make the vaccine?
Nobody.
So
we have the biggest vaccine makers in India, right?
There you go.
Like it is going to definitely. We will start seeing access to the vaccine very quickly. I think, right? Once. Well,
they're saying December rollout in India possible.
Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, like that is as quick as you could imagine, right?
But let's let it happen because we waited a long time. Let it happen, then we'll see. In the meantime,
90% effective, man. It basically is
92%.
Yeah, but
give me my 2% more, but that just makes it better and better.
But honestly, it basically kills the pandemic, right? 92% effectiveness kills
also in any vaccine in the past, I think there's a certain amount of exceptional cases in any case. Now, I don't know what that percentage is, but it probably is around that 95-96% mark.
The problem has to be 92% effective means the contagion is gone. No?
Yeah.
Even if you get a 90% effective vaccine into 25, 30, 40% of the population, the chances of spreading it faster are
also if you hit the I hate to use the word weaker sections, whether they're old, sick, young, whatever, I think that's 50% of the problem gone overnight.
Yeah.
Because the rest will be able to handle the virus, hopefully, and then it'll die slow death on its own. So you, me, and Silvery have solved the pandemic. I like that. Just in 5 minutes together, we put it together, the world is healed. Yeah. This is our Jesus moment.
Where's your first trip after?
I would like to go with the family since I can't go anywhere with anybody else. I love Thailand. Yeah. And I know they've had unrest politically for the first time. Not the first time, but
they have
recently.
Unrest politically every 10 years.
Yeah, but it's become really bad for the first time, But having said that, you go to one of the coastal areas.
I remember in early 2000s, I had some friends who were stuck in Thailand for 20 days.
But that's more Bangkok, Baba. We won't go to Bangkok. We'll go directly to Koh Samui or wherever. And I just love that because the people are really nice and it's that calmness. And you'll get enough. The food is lovely, and you get a little space to yourself with a little pool and all that.
Yeah,
and not a very bad budget. So
yeah. No, that sounds like a good one. Thailand does sound like a good one. I can't wait to go somewhere.
I love Thai food, by the way.
Where do you plan to go, Amit? Or where do you want to go?
I don't know. I mean, I was...
He's a bachelor, so the whole thing changes.
Yeah. No, so I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were thinking that Vietnam.
But then you got to be one of those backpacker types who likes to move around, huh?
No, we want to go to. So
I'm
there's a really, really nice resort in Vietnam that you know my friend Pasha, right? So his wife Shefali found a really nice resort in Vietnam.
You don't go to bloody Vietnam and sit in a resort. Vietnam is a place where people go to look at things.
No, we go to the resort which is near a city. It's near can't remember the name of the city. Not Ho Chi Minh City, but like the other city. It's near that city. It's like 25 minutes away.
Not Ho Chi Minh, the other one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like there are two big cities. Saigon.
17 years of war. Can't remember. Saigon. That was easy.
So it's somewhere like about 25 minutes away from Saigon. So you stay in the resort. You go to Saigon every couple of days, for a couple of hours.
So you're like me. Basically, you want your lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like the socialist in you needs to go and see the world, you go see the world.
I'll go see the cities and the markets and stuff like that for 2 to 3 hours at a time. Other than that, let me sit in front of
now, if you come with me to Koh Samui, you don't have that problem because basically life is just good. All right, you walk maybe to the mall if you feel like it and it's close enough, and that's it. Otherwise, it's all good.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of what I'm looking for.
But above everything else, I just like the vibe in that country. I just find people, again, forget the political unrest, but I find them to be very good-natured and respectful in a nice, sincere way. Not in our fake hello sir, hello saab way.
I need to. I've never been to Thailand. I want to do that too, actually.
A bachelor who hasn't gone to Thailand, an Indian bachelor who hasn't gone to Thailand, Silvery, you have to loop this bit. Show his
one of the
up.
good ones. Ahmed is one of the good ones.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a strange story. I know a boy from South Bombay who never went to Thailand.
So I mean, I was supposed to go in the 7th standard or something like that for a school trip, which we never wind up doing.
They wanted to keep you in Thailand to serve a purpose. That's not the story. No, I apologize.
But I didn't wind up going there. Then I went to the. I don't know. I never wound up. I just never have wound up going.
All right, don't worry. All your wanderlust will come back the moment the world heals. Because I'm sure a lot of people will just keep traveling if they have the money and time.
Yeah, no, yeah. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for the ability to do stuff. Man.
It'll help my marriage. My wife loves to travel.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get. And the thing is, we had all these jet miles. Now those jet miles are gone. So it's been a disaster, man.
There's a new company, no?
Jet miles have 3 to 1, man. That intermile thing. It's almost 3 to 1. So my 10,000 miles becomes 3,000 miles. So instead of going to London and back first class, I'm basically going to Coimbatore.
Okay.
One way and then figuring out my way back with a thumb. You know?
But actually, Coimbatore might not be a bad place to go.
Lovely place.
Yeah, I haven't been there for a while.
Lovely place. Coimbatore is great. And there's lots of, in Tamil Nadu, there's lots of coastal areas you can go to and have a great time, which is, if you like the sea and that kind of, what are we, travel tourist website, what's happening here? We are the people who bring down governments. We just brought down Trump. We haven't decided what to do with this one. We will soon.
There's something the NCB has called Arjun Rampal for questioning, no?
Yeah.
Arjun Rampal, Sajid Nadiawala.
Yeah.
So Sajid Nadiawala apparently doesn't drink, smoke or does anything. He's very conservative. So he poor chap and he's estranged from his wife who was caught with the whatever amount. Another, if you want my personal opinion, very disappointing that these guys are just going after Bollywood actors and actresses for possible usage or consumption. We don't even know. There's bigger fish to fry. And you don't like conspiracy theories, but I just think they've just, the front page should be telling you what's really happening in the world. There's so much happening. I mean, there's all kinds of, whether it's disasters or good things, or whether you want to look at a vaccine, or you want to look at a COVID count, or you want to look at what happened in Afghanistan yesterday, or a thing in Pakistan where a bomb went off and a lot of people got hurt, or 28 delegates got together in Saudi Arabia and nearly got, destroyed. So these are all, I would think, bigger stories. But for us, it's only Bollywood and cricket. Just find a link there and put it on the front page and boom. And after some time, I'm exhausted because the punishment and the crime are both boring.
Correct. And also, like in the US, marijuana was the big winner. I think in one of the states, Minnesota.
It will be here too. At some point.
At some point.
Who knows, man?
People like Baba Ramdev and all that have spoken about it. It's not like that side of the fence hasn't spoken about it. If you go to the Kumbh Mela, for God's sake, you don't even have to smoke up. You just walk.
Contact highs all over the place.
I think what helps in the US is something called, they have ballot initiatives where while you're voting, they'll ask you certain questions. Like, do you want marijuana? Yeah. Do you want your state to legalize marijuana? Yeah. Do you want your state to do this, to do that?
Medical marijuana was more or less legalized for a long time in any case. I think even here. So there are loopholes in any case. But now
there's one state which legalized all drugs in America. I think Minnesota. I could be wrong. I'll check again.
Wow.
But there's one state which legalized all drugs.
Legalized or decriminalized?
Decriminalized. Sorry. Decriminalized all drugs.
Decriminalization is very
consumption.
different than legalization.
Decriminalize for consumption. For
No, it's
consumption.
just decriminalization is basically the idea that you don't want to arrest people and put them in jail for consuming it, right?
For
But
consumption only, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember,
exactly.
if you're carrying bundles and bundles, which is
Right.
what these guys are trying to prove, probably wrongly. I hope there's no...
There is legal marijuana and stuff like that in California. I think New Jersey just passed a law. Massachusetts has it. So that's legal. You're allowed to trade over there.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Huh?
Oregon is the one that
But
decriminalizes all drugs.
decriminalize it. I'm not surprised. Portland being
Yeah,
the
Portland.
place.
No, yeah,
Portland
correct.
is pretty much the most liberal part of America, like the
Wow.
most liberal city in the country.
My worry is if you legalize it, all these TV anchors will keep saying marijuana. Because for some reason, all the hip people in India work in television and film and fashion business and take all kinds of drugs, whether it's marijuana or whatever.
Yeah.
Or some of them do. But the ones who work in television in the news channels are these, I've never drunk or I've never
Exactly.
smoked.
They do it on purpose, I think.
It's like two divides again there.
Yeah.
And so they have their naivety when presenting a drug story for anyone who has a vague idea about drugs, not to say that we are big addicts, but I mean, like, what the hell? You wouldn't know what the word is? Really?
think
I don't
that's-
buy it in many cases.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
many cases, I feel
Exactly.
like they're playing.
No, there are a lot of conservative
Yeah.
people, Amit, in this country.
No,
Come on.
there are many conservative people, but I think that many
They
of
want to
the
look
things-
down on you. See, Indians and human beings across the world like to look down on other people. So they feel better. Oh, you may be very rich, but I look down on you because my morals are better than yours.
No, but
It's like-
that's exactly it. Virtue signaling, right? And I think that that's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening over here. I don't think that most of these people are as naive as they are making themselves out to be.
No, I work in
So-
both those things. There's a huge difference between the people in television and film and the people in, and just, I don't want to use the word hip because it's more like a westernized, non-westernized sort of balance. Okay, so there's this westernized balance which is going towards Portland, Oregon and, have a different understanding of the world and what is right, wrong and in the middle. And then they have this, we've got very strong middle-class rules, which are there in their head from the beginning and they can't get out of that. And hence it's, and what is this question that news anchors ask, not news anchors, the news journalists, which is, aapko kya kehna chahunga? When you go to somebody's father who's been arrested or something, why would you ask a question like that? Or somebody's lost it's a funeral, someone's died, and they say, aapko kya kehna chahunga? Why would anyone want to say anything about this issue who's connected to it? So why would you make a statement like that? Then the naivety is just all over the place. And they're all wide-eyed and happy about what they're doing, presenting, we've got him 1 gram of ganja. Have you consumed ganja? I mean, it's just God, it's the reason why we do drugs. People do drugs because of this kind of presentation. It's very clear. Silvery, do you do drugs?
Never, ever. Have I ever?
You sound like Arnab, huh, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Although you look a lot different. With this. Are you going to keep this beard now or is it forever?
I think this is my look right now, man. Yeah, it's suiting me. My girlfriend likes it, so I think it stays.
Your girlfriend's in Bali.
Yeah, well, she still likes it. Video call is the only thing we have, so it stays right now, man.
Who are we to
so what it
judge?
is.
They're young and naive. Or he's just flaunting the hair while he has it, huh, Amit? One day he'll be like us. All right, so you go to the AMAs?
You have great
Let's
hair,
do
man.
that.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Want to wish you all a happy Diwali. Hope you had a great festive season. It's been a great week in terms of the kinds of guests we've had and the kind of conversations we've had on the network this week. Do definitely check some of these things out. On This Round's on Me with Gauri Devidayal, she had a great conversation with Garima Arora, who's one of the best-known chefs in the world. It was just absolutely riveting. Do check that out. On States of Anarchy, Hamsini Hariharan spoke about chronicling India's different wars. Again, really interesting episode. Check that out. Ashton had a very interesting episode on his show, The Habit Coach. It was called I Don't Feel Like Doing Anything. It's about how to overcome malaise just generally, and I thought really, really interesting stuff. Kumi Vayana was the guest on Cyrus Says on Monday's episode last week, and she's an educator, and my God, it was such a fascinating conversation talking about the way education functions in India and some of the changes she'd like to see. Just really, really interesting stuff. Do give that a listen. On Uncle Please Sit, Anupam Manur was there with Joel and Tushar talking about the Indian economy, part 1 of a 2-part series. Second part will be out this week. You should definitely check that out. Lastly, I want to talk to you all about the Filter Coffee podcast. Karthik Nagarajan, who hosts that show, is on a little bit of a break. He's back with a banger of an episode. It is with Himura Maya, who used to run Landmark Stores, and they talk about the culture of bookstores and quizzing and all kinds of stuff. Really interesting conversation. Do check that out. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Board Brocha. I'm so bored. I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. AMAs with the one and only Silvery.
Who was just admiring Cyrus's hair.
Yeah, you have nice hair, dude, Cyrus.
Oh, my hair. It's all gone. So what this guy did, famous hair stylist, Aleem Hakim, the famous Hakim thing, apparently 3-4 grand for this, which is, I mean, I didn't have to pay, so that's why it happened. So what he said is, very sweetly and candidly to me, see, you have no hair here. So at the back, but you have hair in the front. So we'll push the front up and we'll cut the sides, and everyone will think you have a lot of hair. So it's all this illusion for my age group, how to fool people into thinking it's all looking good. So after some time you feel like a hypocrite when you leave that place because you're part of that whole false set of fakeness, fake this, fake that, fake everything.
No, actually, it's a good haircut, huh? It does look.
Please understand, I cut my hair once in 3 months for the last 5 years, all right? And I have a hajam who comes up now during COVID and for $100 tip. I offer him tea. So I say, if you have tea, then let's negotiate the tip. He's an artist who's now come and done his thing, and he also deals with upper middle class people who cannot leave that salon looking like what they did when they entered. Well, we just had a haircut. It's a logistical, practical thing in the old days. So yeah, whatever. Let's see how long it lasts. I'm not Silvery, unfortunately. He can play around with anything because his hair is going to be there for a few years. Do you have the bald gene in your family?
I don't, man. My father still has a full head of hair.
Comes from the mother's side. 99%.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
My mother also has a full head of hair.
Your mamas and uncles. Look at the males on brothers of your mom or grandfather on that side. Your nana.
My nana was bald. You're right.
Okay, we got it.
He had like
They're
that
making me and Amit happy. Welcome, brother. It'll be like a divorce party. We'll organize the balloons for you and all that.
All right, let's get to the AMS.
Yeah, let's.
The first one comes in from Vipul Deshmukh. He says, "Hi, Cyrus and team.
Hi, Vipul.
What do you think of the upcoming Biden administration in the USA? Looking at Biden's age, the de facto president seems to be Kamala Harris. This would make us Indians unnecessarily proud, of course. So, your thoughts?"
So sorry, Cyrus, before I'll just jump in, right?
Yeah.
There's a saying that the office of vice president is worth a warm bucket of spit. Right, this is a long.
They say that.
There's nothing.
Lyndon Johnson.
I think it was Lyndon Johnson who said that. But basically, there's nothing there, right? The vice president has no powers. So the idea that Kamala Harris.
No, I think her point is not that. Her point is, in case we dare say situation arises, a bit like that show we both watched, does she then
Well, if she becomes president, that's a different thing, right? But I don't know that is necessarily on the cards, right?
But being Kamala Harris, wouldn't she take up a lot more responsibilities and roles in the White House?
Did Joe Biden? Did Mike Pence? Did
maybe not? Yeah, you're right.
I mean, Al Gore.
Joe Biden was fairly vocal on all kinds of things.
He was so basically.
But you're right. Obama had all the power.
Joe Biden was his
in public. There was no
stuff.
dissent in public.
Yeah. I guess I didn't say Dick Cheney because I guess that's your one exception, really.
Yeah.
Right, but mostly vice presidents don't do that much.
But apparently they say that Mike Pence was handed the responsibility to handle the coronavirus, and he's the one who...
but Mike Pence, Donald Trump is the kind of boss who says, go handle this, and then are you done yet? Are you done yet? What do you do about this? What do you do with this?
True.
Is this something that happened? That's just how...
And you can't exonerate Donald Trump from anything. I mean, he just didn't think it through ever. He doesn't think anything through. And then he just makes any statement he wants to. So whether it's Mike Pence's fault for not taking it further or not, he's still the leader who has to cop it, as far as I'm concerned. Which is what will happen here as well. But do you think if she becomes president, it'll make any difference to India? I think the question is also, the subtitle in that question is more about the India Connect. I think it's all bull, after some time, she's an American born and bred there, and this whole Indian... will it help us with visas and all? I don't think that's really going to happen.
No, so what I think does happen is that a worldview is presented, right? And it's a worldview which is more immigration friendly than what Donald Trump has clearly been.
It's a symbolic view that's presented. I'm saying, how does it translate into trade agreements, commerce between India and US, better ties,
but
more time spent with each other in the sense of statesmen from both sides?
They're less nativist than Donald Trump was, right? I mean, like, just as a kind of this.
That would be like anybody? Just the guy on the road?
It would be anybody, but it wouldn't be everybody, right? There are a lot of people like that who are a lot.
Yeah, but I'm saying, don't expect the world to change because Kamala Harris was elevated to presidency vis-a-vis India's position.
Not at all. If anything, given the current government in India, it's going to be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Because these are so Democrats generally do push the human rights aspects of things a lot more than Republicans do. And so there have been complaints about the Indian government, right?
Really? What are you saying?
Just a few here and there.
Like what? Give me one example.
But yeah, no. So I mean, like, it's going to be a challenge to kind of navigate this.
So these are broad terms again, generic terms saying that Democrats don't favor us, Republicans do favor us.
But
will Kamala Harris? I think the question is, will Kamala Harris be that bridge, or are we expecting too much?
No, she's not going to be. She's not going to be any bridge any more than anybody else would be.
And I've been saying this to people for the last when they nominated her for the first place. That what? She's American. This is an American thing. It's got nothing to do with us. Yeah. Don't look at what she looks like or her racial antecedents. It makes no difference.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, we've lost Silvery. Huh? When marijuana was the topic, he was so excited. And now Kamala Harris, just not his thing.
Should I go to the next one?
No. Yeah, of course.
All right, this one comes in from the person who keeps writing to us from Delaware. But he hasn't said his name this time because he says that I won't share my name since Silvery reads it anyway. Like, he says, don't read my name, and then I end up reading it anyway. So he says, congrats, Amit. Hey, congrats to Amit, my fellow Delawarean, for having a president from his state. He is also from the University of Delaware, which is awesome.
Really? You both from the University of Delaware?
Yes.
My God, bro. So you're the bridge. Forget Kamala Harris. You're the damn bridge. Because he knows you since you were a kid. That makes no sense because 50 years before that he passed out. But hey, come on, guys. Alumni is alumni. All over the world, alumni is alumni. It's always a thing. It's a connect.
I've seen him speak at Delaware.
No, I'm saying that if you could get him in a room, if you could get in the same room and you tell him that you're from the University of Delaware, there'd be a connect. He'd give you a little time.
There would be.
So we've got some pull, bro, in the White House, Silvery. Tere ko kya chahiye bolo? Green card, blue card, red card. What do you want? We'll get the cards. Well, Gujarati, those will organize it for you men. Don't worry.
So he says...
what a coincidence. What a small world. Amazing. Yeah. So, Silvery, are you from the same university in Ahmedabad that Narendra Modi came from, or no?
No, sadly not. I don't have as much pull with the BJP government.
No, you don't. And Arnob and I once were on a plane together, but no university.
Yeah, I'm not getting bail, basically.
No chance.
He's also from the University of Delaware, which is awesome. Also, we have the highest POTUS to president ratio. So, have there been more presidents from?
Obviously, they have.
From University of Delaware?
There has to be a second, otherwise it would make sense.
That's what he's saying.
So,
sorry, what did he say? Highest? What to what ratio?
So, POTUS
to
presidents
ratio.
who've come from Delaware, University of Delaware.
No, so POTUS to president, what does that mean, though?
I think it just means the student to president ratio, but I think he misspoke. Yeah, must be student to president ratio.
I don't think
so. There has to be one more guy who came from there. Think fast.
I don't think so. And there's no way that's possible because Harvard's probably had like tons of professors. Yale's probably had tons of presidents.
So, hey man,
so maybe they've had three.
Who
they've had three that puts them right on top. We look back, you have to look back 100 years. There's no one in the present time because we know that from Reagan onwards it's not possible. Yeah. Sorry.
No. So I mean, like, I can't think of anybody. So
Carter,
Delaware
Ford.
has never
Let's go back.
had...
Lyndon Johnson, Carter, Ford. Before that, Kennedy's.
No.
None of them in Delaware.
Nobody at any time.
Nobody's been to bloody Delaware. It's like a small little.
It's basically where you drive on the way from Philadelphia to Washington.
It's just a petrol pump.
It's actually a mall, right? Because it's the only state in the area with no sales tax. So people from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland,
so they buy things, is it?
They come to the malls in Delaware to buy stuff because no sales tax.
No wonder our Desi boys grew up there. Can you imagine? They're driving around, the family says, let's go to the place with no sales tax. We'll get 2 for 1. Next thing you know. Yeah, makes sense. But we must research this. If anyone else knows who these guys were, or the gentleman who won't share his name with us can tell us who the other presidents are, because this is a good statistic. I want to know what the truth is here. I think we should get down to the bottom of this one. What do you think?
Yeah, we should find out.
Because your Harvard one makes a lot of sense. So I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 presidents come from one of the Ivy League biggies. And then if Delaware has 4, they win. Now we're going back all the way to 1776. I don't know. I'm talking about turn of the century. The Adams and Padams and all the names that, I don't know much about. So it could be.
Yeah, you need 3 more. Again, I don't think so because University of Delaware is not that old either, right? I mean,
at least 100 years.
Yeah, at least 100 years. And the last 100 years, I mean, like, if you look at where all the presidents come from, they don't come from Delaware.
Both the Roosevelts?
Huh?
Eisenhower? I'm just trying to think who.
They all come from the Midwest. They come from big states. Generally, presidents come from big states, right?
This man can't lie. He's a Delaware student and he knows what he's talking about. I'm surprised that you don't know this because you're quite the guy with facts and figures as well.
No, but
let's investigate
sure
this.
that Joe Biden is the only
Then you have to put your money where your mouth is. Bet your Diwali fund on this.
Okay, no, I'm not going to do that.
I think this person can look into the future and he knows that Amit will be president of the United States one day. So
hey, Amit's chances of presidency there is better than his chances of anything here.
Okay,
I can tell you that right now.
I'm looking at the most famous University of Delaware alumni, Joe Biden, Johnny Ware, who is a figure skater and an athlete.
Sorry, no, it's a lovely sport.
Raven, who is a WWE wrestler. Chris Christie.
Chris Christie.
Chris Christie was governor.
Former governor of New Jersey. Steve Schmidt, who I was just telling you about the Lincoln Project. That's him.
So where are the presidents?
There are no presidents. Susan Stroman, who's a theater director.
So Mr. No Name lied to us? Highest POTUS ratio? Maybe there's not a single university which has 2. In which case, it's a dead heat.
That is possible. No, but I don't think that's also possible because Obama was in Harvard. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Teddy Roosevelt was at Harvard for sure as well.
Okay, let's do one thing. The only thing we can do on this one is we need to research this properly and come back. So it's going to be a part 2.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll leave this here. This is part 1. How many presidents from Delaware? That's the book that Amit Doshi has written and will be publishing in a bit.
He has a separate question though. That's not the end of his question.
Okay.
His question is unrelated to this congratulatory Biden one post. He says, anyway, question for Cyrus is, how can I convince my wife to allow me to get a dog/puppy? Our house is split in 2 about the idea. Me and my son on one side and my wife and our other son on the other side.
First, get rid of that other son. Okay, he's a pain in the What kind of kid doesn't want a dog? I mean, that kid's nuts. Who's going to grow up to be Donald Trump? One of those megalomaniacs. Yeah. I don't see Arnab walking a dog or Donald Trump for that matter. First, the president without a dog in the White House.
But in that regard, the kid who does want the dog could end up being Hitler because Hitler also loved dogs.
Yeah, he did. He loved his German shepherds. But even the most evil have something about them. Let's not go there. He was also a vegetarian, so there's lots of good things. Now, the problem with this whole thing is this happens in India a lot. Because of the joint family system, you need one person who just doesn't want the dogs. But the thing is, please don't get the dog and then return the dog. It's happened too often to people I know, and I find that just terrible. It's like having a baby and then giving it back. Of course, in that sometimes when the baby grows up, you may regret not doing that. However, having said that, I'm just saying, whatever they do, please don't get a puppy out of some emotional fight or whatever, and then, the things go crazy, and then they send the dog back. Send the son back, send the wife back, throw the mother-in-law out, you got my support. But don't do that to the poor little innocent puppy. Having said that, there's one good technique that I've used. I remember I had a girlfriend whose grandmother was very scared of dogs, and I used to take my German Shepherd in the car to drop her and all that. I didn't like leaving him down while I'd walk her up and sit for 5 minutes and all. So once I took him in, and he just wandered into the grandmother's room, okay, and she was an invalid, and we didn't know where he would. We had no idea. And after about 3-4 minutes, we heard some sounds. We went in, and she was having a conversation with this German Shepherd. They're sitting nose to nose. She's lying in a bed and saying, "Oh, you're an agreeable fellow. You're a nice dog." And they just bonded. Just on their own. I hate to use this as an analogy, but do think if you look at airports or places where people just meet from a sense of destiny or karma sometimes, people from different communities, cultures, races can really hang out, and the fact that they actually get to meet each other will just show you that people can get along. Very often you just keep people away from each other and they just have no idea, but you'll be amazed at how you can get along with other people who you often think culturally, look, I can't hang out with this person, and then you actually can. So same thing with the dogs, you just expose the people to them. Puppies you have to be really cruel not to like puppies. They're small, they're cute, they're yummy. If Hitler liked puppies, come on, where are you in the human race, brother, if you don't like the puppy? Call that kid. I'm scared of that second kid. I don't have no money for that second kid. Draw the will up now. The first kid gets everything. What do you say, Amit? Anything to contribute?
Not really that much to add. I was searching with the internet while you guys were talking about puppies to figure out which college has the most U.S. presidents, and the answer is Harvard. They've had 5. How many? 5.
5, wow.
He's that guy, Silvery, who can't get it out of his system. When you have that song and you don't know what the title is, so you go a whole day, you have business meetings, everything collapses because what's that title? What's that song.
I
He's
need
that
to
guy.
know. I need
He's
to
so
know. If I
fucking
don't-
obsessed. We could have been discussing the death of a 3-year-old person in a well or something, and he'd have been like oblivious because he had to find out who the damn presidents were that came out of which Ivy League.
I do need to know that stuff.
So 5, is it?
It's
Who are the 5
five.
presidents?
John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, and John F. Kennedy. These are undergrad degrees. These are not counting graduate degrees.
No, but they went there. Now, who cares what their scores were?
No, so
Yeah.
there were more graduate, like Obama went for graduate degrees.
Anil
So
Ambani went to Harvard for 4 weeks.
Okay. So did a lot of people.
Yeah. They offer all kinds of courses. You went there. That's it.
True.
Yeah. All right, folks. Speaking of that's it from all of us. I go back to a underground project. Hopefully my fellow actor will be released from the Narcotics Bureau and we can get on with it. All right. Part 2 over. By the way, we solved the conundrum. So part 2 over. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter, on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
नमस्ते, मैं हूँ सौरभ चंद्रा
और मैं प्रणय कुटस्थाने।
जब महफिल खत्म होते होते दरवाजे के बाहर पुलिया के ऊपर हम दुनिया भर की जटिल समस्याओं को सॉल्व करने में लग जाते हैं तो हो जाती है पुलियाबाजी।
अब आजकल के अपार्टमेंट वालों ने तो कभी पुलिया देखी नहीं होगी, पर आप फीलिंग तो समझ ही सकते हैं।
तो आइए शामिल हो जाइए हमारी पुलियाबाजी में, जहाँ प्रणय और मैं एक से एक इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक्स की तह तक जाएंगे।
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, बिटकॉइन, पाकिस्तान, मेडिकल एजुकेशन, करेंसी क्राइसिस, कभी हम दोनों के साथ और अक्सर स्पेशल एक्सपर्ट गेस्ट की कंपनी में।
सुनिए हमें IVM की वेबसाइट, ऐप या अपने फेवरेट पॉडकास्टिंग प्लेटफॉर्म पर हर दूसरे हफ्ते।
Are you constantly seeking happiness? Wondering how to make the most of every day? How not to let your inhibitions stop you from achieving your goals? It's now time to get your A game on. It's time to unlock your true potential. Tune in to the Empowering series with me, Zarina Poonawalla, to feel empowered in all genres of life. From behavioral skills to management skills. From health to relationships. From mental well-being to emotional well-being. And of course, your finances. I've got you covered. With these tips and tricks from me, Zarina, and true life stories from my amazing guests, you're bound to bring your purest to the table. Tune in to the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.